presentation.
Well, you think the new season will never get here, and all of a sudden you look up and you're well into January. You look at where you are, and that's where we are right now for the start of the St. Croix Bassmaster Opens 2025, presented by 7. And we're going to Clarks Hill Reservoir. Tommy Sanders here with Ronnie Moore. And Ronnie, this is a place that has a big part of the history of the Bassmaster Elite Series. The first 6 or 7 years, this was a very common destination here. Often we came to this place.
Absolutely, Tommy. And honestly, it kind of outshined some of its counterparts that have gotten some love lately. You know, you think about the Hartwells and the Laniers of the world that have taken over lately. Clarks Hill was that in the early 2000s, no doubt about it.
71,000 acres, which makes it the third largest man-made impoundment east of the Mississippi River. Only Kentucky Lake and Lake Marion are bigger than Clarks Hill Reservoir. On the Savannah River is a big, expansive place, and that's where we're getting things started this year on an open season that has a new look to it, Ronnie.
Absolutely, Tommy. We've had the Open season the last few years where you have multiple divisions you can choose from, but to make the Elite Series, you had to fish all 9 events. It was a gauntlet. The EQ race was always hotly contested. There was plenty of drama, but this year, Tommy, we kind of back-to-back and kind of had a hybrid a little bit. We've got divisions still with 2 of them, 4 events in each division. If you only want to fish a division, you're in luck because that is just step 1 out of a multi-step process to make the Elite Series, and it all starts here at Clarks Hill. And of course, there's a little bit of drama. We start in late January. All plans that are, well made end up messing up, Tommy, and there's a huge snowstorm in the southeast that we never have, and it has turned into a 2-day event.
Yes, day 1 was canceled because of all the snow and all the cold weather, all the refreezing at night. There's a lot of traffic action going on at the start of any tournament day, and it was just not, it was a little too risky to do.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
understand that.
Yeah, I don't think it ever got above 20 degrees yesterday, which would have been day 1. So today, Friday, is day 1 here at Clarks Hill, a full field, about 150 to 165 anglers or so for Division 1, full field fishing today, and that means we have even more drama tomorrow for Bass Live with a full field also fishing day 2. The other tournament that was most recently doing that, Leech Lake last year when Easton Fothergill won, that turned into a 2-day event as well.
Yeah, it gets very hectic when we got a full field fishing on that 1 day of coverage, and that is coming your way from right here on Bassmaster.com tomorrow beginning at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll remind you of that time later on today. Let's take a look at the schedule. As we say, this is event number 1 in Division 1.
Yes, Tommy, and you can see based on the darker highlighted background around the lakes, it kind of separates the divisions. We start out in Division 1 here at Clarks Hill, late January. Then we're going to be in Division 2 for a couple events. Stop number 2, 3, and 4 overall of the season at Rayburn, Kentucky Lake, and Norfolk. That is all the start of Division 2 and almost the finish of Division 2.
Gets all the way through it. We go back, pick up the rest with Division 1 and 3 in a row. Tom Bigby River down there in Mississippi, the upper Chesapeake Bay, followed by a big bang-up finish on the St. Lawrence River for Division 1.
Yes, and Leech Lake will be the culminating event of the season overall, Tommy, the final event of Division 2. And mid-August, about the time we end the Elite Series schedule, we will be ending the Open schedule, Tommy, and that is important because those 8 events, that's not the entirety of the Opens for 2025. That's just step 1. You fish a single division. This is how the points are going to shape up this year. You fish a single division. Maybe you fish both of them. If you want to be a touring pro and you want to fish a full schedule of events, you have a possibility of 11 total events if you fish both divisions. So the real deal is starting this week at Clarks Hill, all of these anglers, the 150, 165, are looking to be in the top 50 in the points race for their division when the end of the season rolls around. When the St. Lawrence River wraps up, if you're in the top 50 of this division, you will advance on to the EQ portion. And if you're in the top 50 of the division that wraps up with Leech Lake Division 2, you will be into the EQ portion. And Tommy, the EQs will be about as hard as they've ever been. You'll have 100 Opens anglers, plus we'll have some Elite Series competition as well because there are 3 more Classic spots available, and the top 10 in points after these 3 events will make it to the Elite Series.
And all Elite Series anglers are qualified to enter in those last 3 events, all 3 of them. Do you have to enter all 3 of them if you're a pro, or can you cherry pick them?
You maybe can cherry pick them, but you won't be able to go to the Classic. So winning will reset all the points from the season, and these 3 events, Lake Champlain in New York, mid-September, Pickwick Lake the first week of October, and then mid-November for Lake Okeechobee. Those 3 EQ events, it's going to be a 3-lake shootout. Points are reset, so these 3 lakes will determine our EQ points race. And like I said, it's going to be one of the best fields we've ever seen, Tommy.
Yes. I mean, think about it.
Qualified anglers, you're going to have Elite Series pros that maybe they have failed to requalify for next season, and they're kind of protecting their spot and saying, hey, come take it from me. Meanwhile, you'll have about 60 elite pros that maybe get into this because they are outside the Classic looking in, and they would love to make one of these events, get them in there. And when we think about last year, Tommy, the gauntlet of 9 events, now we're going to see people maybe go through 11, and Easton Fothergill probably couldn't have had a better season. And I said to him, aren't you glad you're not fishing the Opens this year? Because it's just going to get even harder.
Absolutely. Easton Fothergill started out in 23 with a great college year, wrapping it up, making his way to the Classic bracket, and won the Classic bracket, and that was just the start of things happening for him.
Yeah, you kind of wonder when you get on a hot streak, Tommy, when's it going to end? Well, this has been 2 calendar years of a hot streak for Easton Fothergill. Why not make it a 3rd hot streak with his rookie season on the elites? But when you look at how he started at Okeechobee in the top 10, he comes to Eufaula, Oklahoma, and gets an 8-pound, 12-ounce bass on the final day. That really helped his really slow day overall, propelled him into a victory. He's going to the Classic once again, but he wasn't done there, Tommy. We still had half the season left, including 1 event on his home lake, Leech Lake in Minnesota.
Yeah, Leech Lake in Minnesota. You knew he would be prepared for this place. He took it slow. That was his whole philosophy. I'm going to do this thing deliberately. I'm going to have to keep moving, but I'm going to fish every place as consistently and as thoroughly as I can.
A couple anglers told us after the tournament, Tommy, that, hey, I was on a great rotation of spots. It just didn't happen in the tournament because I was rotating behind Easton Fothergill. That's never a place you want to be. And it all came down to the last event. We were supposed to be at Lake Hartwell, one of his favorite lakes, but we had to make the change due to the hurricane that hit the Carolinas, over to Lake Martin. And boy, that was a fun one, Tommy. Fall always provides multiple patterns. We saw so much topwater, we saw finesse fishing, and we also saw some jig fishing.
Just had to lower your sized expectations a little bit, but otherwise it was absolutely, as you say, it was a ball to watch that, and Easton Fothergill getting the job done.
Yeah, and Cody Meyer pushed him to the limit. He needed to finish in the top 28 out of 180 boats or so. Not only did he do that, he almost got a top 20. He almost made the final day, and he was just number 1 out of the list of 9 anglers from the Opens that made the elites, along with Cody Meyer, Tucker Smith, Paul Marks, Emil Wagner, and then those other 4 aren't nothing to shake a stick at.
No, absolutely. And look at the last 2 right there. Evan Kung started out very, very strong. I mean, a strong finish.
He led the points through 4 events.
He led the points, and Bo Browning had a slow start, including a bad start at his own home lake there at Lake Ouachita. It took him every day of the season to get the job done. He pulled it out on the last day.
Yes, and if you know Dakota Ebert as well, a very big name we expected to be in this 9, and he did not let us down. And Andrew Loberg, a young guy from the West Coast, came east. Like we all know, everybody moves to Alabama from the West Coast, and he is in the Elite Series. And they're, honestly, the Opens are a great place to do live, Tommy, because we have elite guests come in and co-host, and they get to see
that all last season.
They get to see the next group of competitors. So yeah. Brandon Cobb tomorrow, who knows the Savannah River very well, he lives up there a little bit more north towards Lake Hartwell, Lake Greenwood, things like that. He'll be able to come into studio tomorrow to do Clarks Hill with us.
Well, that will be, in fact, a treat. It's been a treat every time. We've had some great guest analysts in that seat throughout 2024, and we expect more to happen with this young man right here. Got it started in his big rookie season. You talk about starting the trend of overachieving rookies. That was Brandon Cobb in 2019.
2 wins in 2019, 1 at Lake Hartwell like we expected. He also had the 1 at Lake Fork. That was a Century Club one he won't forget.
114-pound Century Club.
For Brandon Cobb, knowing the Savannah River very well, Tommy, he was fishing Clarks Hill over the last month or so, wondering if he should get in the Open, but saying, it's probably going to be full. I won't be able to do it, so I'll just go to Clarks Hill. He finds out that Clarks Hill's not completely full. He could have gotten the tournament, but he's already into the off limits, so that's great. That means our guest is going to be well informed.
Benefit happens right here in the studio. Well-spoken guy, very smart, a college coach as well. He'll be a great analyst for you tomorrow, Ryan.
Former Clemson angler, now he is a consultant. I don't know what consultants pay these days in college fishing, but Tommy, you may need to be a consultant for UALR or something.
Yeah, consultant. That sounds like me. Well, that's coming your way. Full coverage of the final day tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern time. And again, we're not down to 10 as we usually are since we had that first day canceled. It's going to be the full field out there, 160-plus anglers. It's going to be wild. There's some scrambling going on out there, but it should be extremely entertaining.
Yes, and for those who wonder where we're going to be, you said at 8 a.m. Eastern time. We'll be on .com all day long.
Yes.
So 8 to 11 Eastern, .com, we'll take an hour break, and then 12 to 3 we'll wrap up here. And like you said, 10 cameras, but 160 anglers.
Will be fun. Again, 8 a.m. tomorrow right here on Bassmaster.com.